Hello Superset Maniacs and welcome back to my channel. The comparison of the day is Mr. Olympia 2018 Shawn Rhoden versus Mr. Olympia 2020 Big Ramy. Marx Max Muscle just posted this comparison on his channel today. I left a link to that video in the description. Go and watch it when you have time, guys. I haven't watched it yet because I don't want to let everything influence my judgment before I make this comparison myself. What's interesting also is that Mark made a poll on his community section with this comparison, and after more than 2400 people expressed their opinion, the results are very tight, with Big Ramy leading with only 51% of the votes. Before I made this video, I voted for Shawn, but let's see if I will change my opinion after I go through all the mandatory poses in an in-depth comparison between these two physiques. I start with the front double biceps. Shawn's buys are weak, let's face it, and we all know that wasn't always the case. Ramy's buys are better, but he is far from having some of the best ones in the game himself. But other than the biceps, I dare to say that Shawn slams the door on Big Ramy in this pose. The execution, the perfect proportions, the superior conditioning, all are in favor of Shawn Rhoden in my opinion. Downstairs, Ramy is bigger at the quad department, but not necessarily better. Shawn himself having some world-class quads, and they just flow better with the rest of his physique in my opinion. For me, Shawn Rhoden wins the front double biceps pose here. Up next is the front lat spread, and we all know Ramy has one of the best front lat spread poses in the game. However, Rhoden is holding up good against that. Both of them have wide clavicle bones and great lats, thus good V-tapers. Downstairs is tight between them, like I mentioned in the previous pose. Ramy is bigger but not necessarily better. All in all, I believe this is a Big Ramy pose, but Shawn looks good too. Next is the side chest, and this is probably Big Ramy's strongest pose, and Shawn does not look to be intimidated by that here. Let's get the side leg out of the way. Ramy is great, but so is Shawn. Just look at the glute ham muscle separation, and he's got the way better calves as well. Upper body, I like Shawn's delts more, and his chest pops out well, but overall I think Big Ramy is more impressive. He's got a bigger chest and probably the better execution as he opens up a little bit more. This point goes to Ramy, but this wasn't an easy point for him, not at all. Back double biceps and upper body, they look pretty similar. Neither of them have great lat insertions, but Rhoden has an advantage at this department. But Ramy seems to be having the better shoulders here. I think we can say that upper body it's pretty even, but downstairs I believe Rhoden wins this pose. You heard that right. First of all, he has the better conditioning, the way better calves, the better glutes, even though Ramy's are so much bigger. Overall, this pose is tight as well, but my point goes to Shawn Rhoden. Up next is the back lat spread. Downstairs we have the same story I just mentioned earlier, with Rhoden having an advantage in my opinion, but this time upper body I believe Ramy is clearly better, mostly with overall size but also with the lat width. This is not a blowout pose from Big Ramy, but he takes this one. Next is the side triceps, and this is an interesting one. Downstairs we have the same situation as in the side chest, both of them being good in their own way. Upper body, and more specifically the triceps themselves, are the main focus for me when I judge this pose. Even though Ramy does not have the best triceps, Shawn's lateral head is almost non-existent, and it's a pity because Otherwise, this could have been one of the best side tries of all time. I'd like to give Shawn the point for the overall flow and execution, but my point has to go to Big Ramy in this pose. And now the abs and thighs. I don't think we should spend too much time judging this one. I said it in the past and I say it again. For me, Shawn Rhoden in 2018 had the very best abs and thighs pose of all time, period. So he wins this pose. But Big Ramy has a good pose as well, don't get me wrong. Last pose is the most muscular. They both seem to prefer this variation over the crab, and I think they both look good here. They look pretty similar with arms and shoulders. Rhoden has the better and tighter midsection, and downstairs, just like I mentioned before, both of them are strong. But in this pose, I believe that the focus should be on who really looks more massive and more muscular, basically. And Big Ramy is bigger and better in this pose, in my opinion. So he wins this final one. In conclusion, the final score is 5-3 for Big Ramy, and for those die-hard Big Ramy fans that would get offended he did not win by larger margin, I think you guys should be thankful he even won this comparison, because I believe Rhoden gave him a tough fight here today. The only pose that was truly obvious for me was the abs and thighs, which is definitely Rhoden, but other than that, every pose was like in Mark's Max Muscles poll, 51% for the winner of that pose. This is how tight it was between these two today, which means Shawn Rhoden could have easily won this comparison. Shawn may not be the biggest or the freakiest, but he definitely has the grace, the execution, the aesthetics, the proportions, and the unmatched conditioning, I dare to say, which makes him a real threat for Big Ramy's title if he comes back this year with a similar physique. What do you guys think about this comparison? Let me know in the comments below. Also, like this video if you enjoyed it, and subscribe for more videos like this. Thank you guys, and see you next time.